Hey everybody. I'm gonna make a short video. I was just thinking about when I was doing dishes, I watched a sentencing on a teenage girl in Ohio. It was the first I'd heard about it. It was just something that was recommended that was playing while I was doing like house chores. And it was this girl in Ohio who crashed at 100 miles an hour head on in what looked to be like an intentional um, I don't know. It was a horrific crash, and she was the driver. That her boyfriend and like a friend died, and she was the only survivor. And she crashed like at 100 miles an hour, um, like head on into this brick building. It was crazy. It was horrific. And every so often you see those things where it's like a teenager goes drunk driving and then like the worst case scenario happens. Or a few years back there were those boys, I might have mentioned them before. It was a big deal, those boys who were like throwing rocks over a bypass or something, and it went through a car windshield, and tragedy struck. And I always have really mixed feelings when I see those sort of things, because we all that's the story of life, cause and effect. We all have to be held accountable, and we will be in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not legally. We will be um, held accountable for the natural ramifications of our actions. You know, there's no avoiding the effect. Um, but still, I have such mixed feelings. In the comments were like, oh my God, she's a narcissist. She's a psychopath. She's a sociopath. A lot of the comments were really like dragging her through the coals. And I understand, and maybe she was, but I just, I know a lot of times as adults, we do the dumbest things, asinine things that could have gone a totally different way. Even if it's just, at Catholic camp as a teenager. It was god awful, pun intended. It was as bad as you can imagine Catholic camp to be. There was a lot of debauchery, a lot of like weird scenarios. Nobody seemed to know what they were doing, and I didn't feel God's presence. Shocker, right? Catholic camp as a teenager, there was like this ill-fated camping trip that we took in this week-long Catholic excursion, summer camp. The camp within the camp, where we actually like packed our bags and walked out into the woods, was only like an overnight thing. But the guidance counselors didn't know where we were going. We got lost. We had to like walk a freaking mile back, like up a dirt road that I swear to God, we just like happened to run into like this gravel road and was like, okay, it's got to take us somewhere. I mean, it was horrific. But the point is that a bunch of teenagers were walking with some dumbass teenage camp counselors into the woods. We got lost, and we were packing around. They were gonna have us make beef stew like over an open campfire at night. That was the plan, but there was beef, vegetables, nothing to cut these vegetables with, and beef that ended up thawing and bleeding into our clothes, thawed meat. We were walking around with bloody book bags, lost in the woods. I mean, we could have all been eaten by a bear, had a horrible attack, that didn't happen. But shit like that does happen all the time, and it's just through like kind of incompetence and the blind leading the blind and just stupidity. And I cannot imagine being a teenager. Although I was like a good kid, I wasn't a partier. I look back on my teenage years and just I feel for myself. Sometimes I get like, oh, sentimental, and it's like that was cute. But so often I just cringe to my soul thinking about I was like a pick me girl before there were pick me girls. I was like that girlfriend. I was like part of my first love. We were like this super overly affectionate, like kind of like freak couple of the school. We were like all over each other. It was really inappropriate looking back. I mean, we were just like, I was like making out with everybody. Um, me and my little bleeding heart. My God. I cannot imagine being a teenager today with social media. Like, I cannot fathom it. And Gen Z, it's like, it's an open secret at this point. Y'all are so screwed. Y'all are such a just a screwed up generation. You do not know your ass from a hole in the ground. Y'all don't know much. And it's just like it's y'all are by far the worst generation, and we all know it. No offense, it is an open secret. People are like, God, Gen Z, Jesus Christ, they would just, you know, but it's not your fault. It's what I'm getting at. It's really not. It's not their fault. We are all the product of the shortcomings of our family unit. We are all the product of the shortcomings of the generation that came before, the shortcomings of our parents, of our parental guardians, of the shortcomings of society in the moment when we were, from the time we were born through present, and certainly when we were like coming of age, you know. And it's not Gen Z's fault, and people that are young, that have grown up, that have never, will never know a time before the internet as we know it today. It is the fault of parents who, and is it their fault, because parents had parents too. We're all the products of the shortcomings of society. And no one, when technology came out, when social media began to pop off, like what, 10 years ago, around about, social media really is what changed it. Smartphones is like the downfall of society, potentially. Um, but where there is a curse, the biggest curses are potentials for the biggest blessings. The what could be the downfall of society is an opportunity for us to create truly a better society. We all just have to be aware, like, hey, we need to get real about social media. As parents, we need to really be teaching these things in school, but that's not going to happen. So it has to be 100% on a grassroots, family by family, parent by parent, and individual by individual basis. We have got to, like, smartphones and smart technology and social media and the internet, really, overall, it is like the worst of humanity in so many ways. But once again, we have to look at it from that flip side, where it can be bring out the best of humanity. It can connect people in a beautiful way, but we have to really, I think, use it for the good, and instead of just being like more fake, artificial, egoic, fraudulent, and incompetent, than ever. And it's dumbing us down to like the nth degree. But it's on us to, yeah, there should have been classes in public school from the get-go, like, okay, really, like, there should have been PSAs like they did with the drug campaigns, which is also a total joke. Just say no. Who okayed that? I really want to know who okayed Just Say No. Who okayed the DARE program? These programs were fucking, what, you might as well put your money in a bonfire and just burn it. The federal government isn't incompetent. I swear to God, I think I'm an anarchist. I really do. I talk about something that kind of makes me cringe for some reason. I feel like kind of like, I just don't feel like I should be considering myself an anarchist, but I think I am, because like my disdain cannot be overstated for a totally incompetent, not even incompetent, that's an understatement, because it's so intentional and it's so malicious. And it's so corrupted to the core, 100%. People going to politics to make money. There's no good intentions. It's like they're like super cops, and they're all bad. Anyway, side note. There should have been programs, at least an attempt, but of course there wasn't. So it has to be on us to help these younger generations, and to help ourselves learn how to communicate. I don't think we should be saying anything to anybody online that we wouldn't say to their face. And that's something I've learned too, and social media, I think we should just do away with it, man, for real. Like, we just need to do away with it, because it's not helping. if it's not connecting us to love and to our goals and to our dreams, and it's not inspiring us to be our higher selves, and I don't think we should fool with anything that doesn't lead us in that direction. And certainly we shouldn't think twice about something that actively works to take us away and to continue to keep us once again in this weakened state of just wounded stupidity. But I think there was something else I was going to say. I don't know. That's pretty much it. Man, there was something else that was on my mind, but just in summary, life can change in the blink of an eye, and any progress that is going to happen in our lives or in society, it's going to be from the valley of the grassroots level. It's going to start from inside, and it's going to go from there. We are the creators of our reality. We Destiny is real, but we do create our destiny, whether we want to believe it or not. We do. Help is not coming from the stars, in my opinion, are not, the clouds are not going to part, and there's not going to be I don't think like a biblical rapture. There's not going to be an alien invasion. You know what, if there was, if there's, I don't worry at all. I've heard like rumblings, which is so odd, about an alien potential invasion or something like that, but no way. If aliens wanted to invade, they would have 100% done it by now. And they wouldn't be after the little person. If they were going to do that, they would start at the top too, because they could see where the problem was for sure. They would be here to help us and to wipe that slate clean from the corrupted, useless government. But they are obviously not here to hurt us, or they would have done it by now. Our government is going to be, bring this like false god or false, whatever. But the only real change that is going to be for the good is going to have to be from us individually saying, hey, I'm going to take conscious decisions to make my dreams into goals, into as small a step as they need to be, as big a step as they can be, to make those goals into step by step, thought by thought, moment by moment actions, to have this kick-ass life. And when you become that awesome person and even work towards it, your reach is just going to expand, because Gen Z, man, they're screwed up, but they're the future, and it's going to be not on them if we don't turn this ship around. It's going to be on all of us, So all we can do is stand in our autonomy, like I've been telling myself for the past few years, really. Stand in our autonomy from a place of love, from a place of self-love, and know that like our decisions are our destiny, whether we choose to sit on the couch and do nothing, or just sit in like a state of fear and like, oh my God, the sky is falling, or whatever, or actually try to be this change. So we're living life. We are either going to try or not. Why not try to do something awesome, So y'all have a good night.